We'd like to ask you a couple questions about your whereabouts 2 nights ago.
You got something to hide?
Yes, my name is Joseph Stam. I got started in acting from a very young age, grew up doing theater, and
Yeah.
then got involved in filmmaking. Growing up, I was a part of this youth program for theater, and the director of that program left and started a production company. And when he did, he was going to, that's David Alford, who started Cross Purposes Productions. And he was going to make his first film called Cross Purposes. And he was looking to cast a 16-year-old in the lead role and asked me to audition for it. And I went in and auditioned and just fell in love in that audition with film acting and
Yeah.
with I'd always loved storytelling. I have a older brother who is now working as a film editor for some Amazon Prime shows, the House of David. But he and I, grew up doing home movies together, with our camera and with my siblings, roping them into our stories. And so I always loved storytelling. And so started film acting, did a couple films, and then got into writing, which was kind of just a natural transition. I think the first spark was just me thinking, okay, well, you know, uh, with writing, you basically get to act and play everyone. And instead of being restricted by lines, you get to make them up. And so that was like the
Yeah.
first, obviously, there's a lot more to writing than just that, but that was
Yeah.
like the initial spark for me. And then went on, and once I started writing for the production company, I got super interested in directing, and I think that's just a natural progression. Say, like I wrote this thing, I created it. Now I
Yeah.
want to have control about what happens to it.
Output. Yeah.
After it's taken into production, and so I don't know if that just means I'm a very controlling person, but I think most directors are maybe. So, but yeah, so then made some short films on my own, and
Yeah.
then ended up working on a couple features now, and the newest is Searching for the Elephant, which is the film that just came out, and it that one I kind of got to apply myself in all three areas. I got to help write the film with David, co-wrote it, and then I acted in the film. Um, and then I also directed. I didn't direct on set, but I directed in pre-production and then post-production. And so that was
Yeah.
a unique experience to be able to apply myself in all those different areas.
So the film that you're starring in is called Searching for the Elephant. Do you know
Yes.
what inspired that title and why it was chosen?
Yes. So it's kind of a unique title. We get a lot of questions about that title.
Yeah.
So just to set up the film, my character is a drug addict who and he is in trouble with the law, and he gets an ankle monitor put on him, and he gets sent on parole to live at his grandfather's house for a
Yeah.
year. And he and his grandfather hate each other, so they have
Yeah,
to
I'm watching.
break down,
Yeah.
a lot of family issues that they have
Mm.
together. And they are both people, then there's some bad guys and some shootouts as well, but they have to find their way back to each other. This story is really about isolation, and these two characters have really isolated themselves and numbed themselves in different ways because of their hurts and their past, and the grandfather's dealing with PTSD from Vietnam. And so you know um characters who are very unsatisfied with where they are. So the grandfather, has this ranch. He's a rancher, and the term "searching for the elephant" is used by ranchers,
Yeah.
meaning that someone, if you say someone's searching for the elephant, that means that they're not satisfied where they are. They're always looking for the next thing. They're looking for that perfect place that doesn't exist. And when they're on a job, they're a hired hand on a ranch. Everyone knows that once they think the next best thing comes along, they're going to ditch the job, that they have right now, and move on. And so it's that kind of wandering that these two characters are doing, looking for that thing that will fulfill them, that thing that can numb their pain. And they're both kind of searching for the elephant. And so they kind of have to find their way back to each other. And there's a lot of, themes of forgiveness and redemption, but it's also a very hard story of hopefully a very real story that people will be able to
I
relate
enjoyed
to.
watching it. Yeah, I enjoyed watching it. And the part where when they reached to the topic of searching for the elephant, I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was a spiritual twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I believe it could help a lot of people to
Mm-hmm.
go
Yes.
through with life.
Yeah, absolutely. That scene that you're talking about with Griffin, the soldier's mom. I mean, we rewrote that scene probably like 28 times. Like that
Yeah,
was the most difficult scene in the entire film, and we really wanted to, kind of flip things on its head because in the scene you kind of have this nice older lady who's trying to set him straight and bring a new perspective, breathe a new life into the film and into his world.
yeah,
And but it was a fun balance to make her very sharp and make her a military life or wife as well and not really let anything slide. So that was like a really fun scene to create. And just you know um I really want people to be able to watch the film and relate to it and project a lot of their own life onto the film, and let God work in the subjectivity of it. And we don't like to hit our message super hard and hit people over the head with it. We want them to be able to figure it out themselves. But then at
yeah,
the same time, offering a perspective in that scene was really important to us, and will hopefully lead to more questions for people as they leave the theater. So yeah, that was a really tricky scene. But oh my
yeah,
word, Paris Bradstreet, who did played the soldier's wife. I mean, she was incredible,
sure.
and I always hear audiences coming out. When we had premieres, local theatrical runs, and people talking about how she was their favorite character and everything. And she's only in there for a scene, but she made an impact for sure.
Yeah, she kind of reminded me of Kerry Washington a little bit.
Yeah,
How,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I totally see that.
yeah. So tell us more about your character because
Hmm.
you actually look much younger than how you look in the movie. I don't know if you
Yeah,
make yourself look older, but I'm surprised you look younger than
yeah,
the movie.
yeah. No, that's funny you say that. Yeah, Jason has been through it. Let's see how I look with my glasses, if that's better. No, but
Yeah, I
I
see
mean,
you a little now.
but yeah, preparing for that role was a lot. I had about 4 months to prepare for the role of Jason,
Yeah,
and in that 4 months I started by just developing him as a person. I mean, I needed to learn everything about the addiction side of it, but I first just started with his memories, developing his memories from the time, his very first memories with his dad up until the film starts. And so just creating his
yeah,
entire backstory of where he came from, what he remembers of his dad, um, relationships he's had in the past, how he got involved in drugs and why he goes to that and when does he go to that. And,
yeah,
just really developing his entire life so that it feels like a whole life has being lived outside the frame. When the film starts, you want to feel like this person has existed and will go on to exist
yeah,
outside of this film. And so I started with that. Then I just did a lot of research on what it's like to be addicted to drugs, what he would be using, how it affects him, just watching dozens of documentaries
Yeah.
about it and hearing other people's stories. And then the most impactful thing was going and then talking to people who were either currently in a recovery or had been in recovery in the past.
Yeah.
And those conversations were just so transformative for me. I mean, th- those people were just so open and vulnerable with me about their stories.
I could
And
see that you got it from somewhere when you were doing
mhm,
the character.
yeah, yeah, and I didn't want to use their story specifically
Yeah.
because that's why I wanted to develop the character first. But then everything they were saying just kind of affirmed what I was thinking about the character, and just like
Yeah.
hopefully their voices were able to speak through me in some way in the film.
Yeah.
And
Sure it
so
does. Sure it does.
thank you. Yeah, it was.
Good job.
I hope so. It I think that was the thing that was probably the most stressful about the character, is just wanting that to be authentic. For
Yeah.
people who had been through that experience before, the worst thing that could happen is them look at the film and say, "Nah, that's not accurate."
Yeah.
And so I felt a lot of responsibility when it came to that. And so we had like someone on set when I was doing the withdrawal scenes, to make sure that those were accurate. A lot of the
Yeah.
people working on the film, a lot of the crew members had relatives or friends who are drug addicts, and
Okay.
so it kind of became, on set it's always kind of best idea wins, no matter if you're a PA or you're the director. But it
Yeah.
was amazing to kind of see everyone form around this film, and people who had experience in this could go and say, okay, maybe we need to add this element into the scene, and maybe we
Yeah.
need to do this differently because of what they know. And so that was just like very communal experience building that. And um, you know it was there was some hard scenes, like out in the dirt road and everything, after his dealer drives away. I mean, that scene um, really affected the entire crew, and I think people who knew me, seeing me shift into Jason, because
Yeah.
I had to stay in character pretty much all day when we were shooting. So 12 to 14-hour days, I was just in character the entire time, because
Yeah.
it was something that was so intense, a mindset that was so intense. I couldn't just kind of
Keep.
slip in and out of
Yeah.
it. And so that scene especially, I know affected everyone a lot, and I was trying to shrug it off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But everyone was really shaken up and crying and things like that, and people had experiences. Uh, Especially, I mean, there were some crew members that we didn't know, until that night, and they said they had to step away from the scene because it was too real, and found out that they had a relative who had OD'd, and so it was like, it was a after that scene, I just went and made rounds through the entire crew and just talking with people and giving them hugs, and I'm okay, it's all good. It's just a character, but that was definitely a night that brought a lot of people together, and it just felt like, okay, we captured something real here,
Yeah.
and that it was really painful, but in a good way. And so um I the thing with the character was that he had this rage in him, and this hurt, and this rage that he carries with him all
Yeah.
day, every day. And you kind of see that come out in the scene that he confronts Griff about his dad. And that rage, that was probably one of the easier scenes to do,
Yeah.
because I could actually let it out. The rest of the entire shoot, I was trying to have that same exact rage that you see in that film, but keep it in and bottle it up and not let it out. And that was probably the most one of the most difficult things. And so yeah, yeah, I'm just rambling about the character. I could go on, but developing his costume was a lot of fun. I kind of got to do that very
Oh.
hands on with the costume designer. Madeline Bourne and I would go to we would go to like thrift stores and just look for things that he would be interested in, and then I
Yeah.
would go and custom design them and paint on them, and do different things that I think he would do. And then I would go and to try to understand this character, I would go and walk around in his clothes in different cities
Yeah,
and just walk on the street and be in character and talk to people and things like that, just to kind of get a sense of how he carries himself, how people look at him, and I learned a lot from the way that people were looking down on me because of the way I was presenting myself,
yeah,
and then that kind of made me understand the edge that he has to him, just a little bit more.
yeah.
Um, and so developing that and developing his tattoos. So I had those fake tattoos, one on the neck and then one on the arm, and
Oh,
developing those like very specifically of like, that he's stamping himself with this approval that he's valuable. He has that diamond on his neck. He's
yeah.
saying, you know, no one thinks I'm valuable. I think I'm valuable. I'm stamping myself with this. I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm valuable. But then at the same time, he has the snake on his arm because he knows that's what most people see him as, and so he's owning that. And he's like, yeah, I'll be the villain. Sort of thing. And so
Yeah,
it was
that came.
really
Yeah,
cool
just,
process just developing it.
that's how you came across. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you put it over really well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. It was a tough process, but very rewarding. And then, you know, when the film came out and we had a premiere, and a lot of those people who had been in recovery or were still going through recovery came and watched the film. We
Yeah,
screened it at a movie theater, and like just to see their reactions afterwards, their very emotional reactions, and just talking about how real they thought that it was, but how much the message of hope and redemption meant to them, was just, you know it made me be able to breathe a sigh of relief that they thought that it was accurate and that it meant something to them. So that was a very special moment at the end of all of it.
you could always feel good about doing your work and portraying it very close to reality.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and very grateful for the help to help me get there. Yeah.
So how was it like working with other people on the set? And how did they
Mhm.
choose the cast? Because everyone played their roles
Yeah,
well and it interacted with the different characters. It meshed very
yeah, yeah. So yeah, bringing everyone else into the mix was fantastic. So like, um, even though I had done some work with this production company before, I still auditioned for Jason because we didn't know if that was in my range. I hadn't done anything like this
well.
before.
Uh,
And I auditioned with Rick McVeigh, who played Griff, my grandfather. And working with him was just amazing. I mean, he's such a generous actor. He's been an actor for a long time now. He works at or used to work at the Virginia State Theater that we have just right near us. And so we have a whole company of actors who have
uh,
been professionally acting for years that we can kind of just tap
I
into
was
here.
gonna, I was gonna also ask you how come you guys chose West Virginia as the location, but now that you said that,
Yeah, yeah, and we're just here, and we just happen to have this great talent here. And David, the owner of the production company and the director and writer of Searching for the Elephant, he worked at the Barter, and he was an actor there for a long time, and so he knows everyone and has tapped us into some great talent. Paris Bradstreet, who played the soldier's wife, she was from the Barter. And the great thing about Rick and Paris in that scene was
yeah,
that they had worked together for so long. So we brought them in for rehearsals, and they started working through the scene. And Rick was trying to still figure out, why is my character just now confessing all of this? Why is he doing this? It's all my fault, and I don't know why I would do it. And Paris is sitting there, and she goes, "No, it's not. It's not your fault." And he's like, "Well, yes, it is." And then they start arguing, like kind of as themselves, but kind of as the characters, and they start like going back and forth. And David and I have been trying to like help, and we were we were offering things up and asking questions about the scene, and then they just started arguing, and we just kind of both just kind of leaned back and just like let them do their thing. And so they went back and forth for a while, and then we slowly just transitioned them into the scene. And it was super cool to just see that natural organic process from actors who
yeah,
had been working together for so long. So that was like a very beautiful thing. And then we got Sean Campos, who played Emery, the drug dealer. He was also from the Barter. And then we have a couple out of town folks. So the person who plays my mom, my stepmom, she is from Atlanta, Sharon Lanier, and she was like amazing. I mean, she came in there like a firecracker, and I mean, her audition was incredible. We actually like rewrote the script after seeing
yeah.
her audition because it was so good. And so she formed the film in a lot of ways that I don't even think she knows. But and she was so fun to work with when we were doing
Yeah,
that prison scene. And she goes in the scene in the script, she's supposed to give me the cigarette when I ask for it. And but
yeah,
when we started doing the scene, she like acted like she was going to, and then she just took it herself and lit it up. And that totally shifted the entire rest of the scenes. So I was like,
yeah.
okay. So I just went along with it. I just started pouting about it, and then we exchanged a couple lines back and forth, and then slowly got back on script. And it was just like working with her. I mean, she kept you on your toes. It
Yeah,
was it was
it's
fun.
always good to have those organic things thrown in.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
just amazing. I mean, she's yeah, she's all over in the faith-based industry right now. But and then we got Libby Smallbone in the film as well, who we cast, and come to find out after we cast her that she's the younger sister of the band For King and Country and Rebecca St. James. If you've heard of them, they're all a family,
yeah,
and she's their younger sister, and we didn't even know that before casting her. But she not only played the role in the film, but she also made an original song, or had an original song that we got made for the film, and so that's the end credit song. She sings that there at the end. So that was kind of a happy thing to find out on set. We didn't even know that she
oh,
made music,
background.
but her
Yeah,
dad was there, and he was like, "Hey, did you know she makes music?" And we were like, "No, let's hear some." And then we listened to that song. David comes running to me with this phone, and he's like, "Hey, listen to this song." And
yeah,
I listened to it. I was like, "Oh, whoa, that would be perfect for the end of this film. That's this
yeah.
film." So that was pretty a very neat find.
Okay. So, was there any significant challenges you faced through the production, and how did you guys overcome it?
Yeah, there was a few challenges. One just in pre-production, trying to find the right location for a prison, because that's not
Mm,
we're very small production, and that can get pretty pricey to to build an entire prison set that looks authentic, not just hanging
yeah,
some bars in your bedroom or something like that. But uh, we went and asked around, and there was a prison here. There's a 250-person maximum security prison that they had just moved everyone out of and moved them
oh,
somewhere else. So it was just empty. They don't know what to do with this building, and so we went there and jumped through all the hoops that we needed to with the
yeah,
city, and we ended up being able to shoot in this maximum security prison. That was pretty amazing to see how that came together, and
yeah,
that was a tough day shooting in the prison. I mean, you could just feel the oppressive nature on the entire crew, and I think everyone was just a little sharper with each other. We were just like, we need to get out of this as soon as possible. I mean, it was tough. Uh, to be in that space, and for me it was very surreal actually being locked inside of a cell, and
yeah,
uh, especially with everything that means to that character. I just i just felt sick the entire day, just like physically, like sick. And then so that was a rough day on production, but really worth it in the end. And Yeah, I mean the locations coming together just with the ranch that we needed,
Yeah,
and that house is just like perfect. Just happened to be empty. They were like waiting
oh,
to to renovate it into a wedding venue, and so it ended up working perfect for us.
yeah, it's a nice place too.
It is, yeah. It's gorgeous, and then it had like a courtyard and everything else, like these weirdly specific things that we needed for the film. It all
Yeah,
had, um, and so yeah, we lost a location like the day before we were supposed to shoot there,
yeah,
so that was very stressful. But we scrambled and found another location. Our line producer did, Nick Hester's, and he was fantastic. And we found a location that was like way better than what we had before, and
yeah.
it worked with our color palette for the film so much better, and it was just it was a
Just
good
work.
change. So that's
Yeah,
what's exciting about shooting on location as opposed to in a studio, is you kind of never know what you're going to get.
yeah,
And me, I love shooting on location. To me, it forces you, if, your creativity into a box, and you can be the most productive when you have a box to work with. And so, when you're in a space, you're like, well, not every floor is going to creak the way that this one does. Not every door is going to sound the way that this one does. And it just brings a little bit of real life and authenticity to your film, I think. And then also being able to be like, okay, this is our storyboard. We drew out every single shot of the film before we shot the film. And we were like, okay,
yeah.
this is what the shot we're going for. How can we do that in this space, or something that accomplishes that same idea and that same emotion in this space? And so, to me, that's always really exciting. And you have to be flexible and stay light on your feet. Having a plan and then say, oh, we lost a location, we're in a new location. Okay, we have to totally, none of our shots work now in this location, so we have to totally restructure everything we were going to do. And then having a great editor like Kevin Peoples on the film, who can take footage and then rearrange it in a way that you didn't expect. That opening scene was supposed to be like a normal scene. It wasn't supposed to be that montage sort of thing. We weren't supposed to go to the shower in the beginning of the film. None of that was
Mm,
planned. We had like a scene between young Connor and his father, and we ended up, you know, Kevin came up with this really incredible idea for the start of the film, that
yeah.
you kind of get little bits and pieces and hints to things, and it just ended up working so much better, and
Because
so that was pretty
got a
amazing.
father that looks like you too. The father.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was like crazy because
It's
I'm
very
like,
amazing. It's David's grandson, actually.
yeah,
James. He played younger me, and that was so much fun. Man, when he's on the porch and he gives that like look of being really sad, he
yeah.
was just really tired. He was like, it wasn't. I don't think he was like focused on the emotions of the scene at all or anything. He just wanted to go
That's
home and go
good.
to sleep. And so
Yeah,
after we got that shot, he just like lit up, I think, because he was so ready to just be
yeah.
out of there. But no, he was great.
So, since it's been airing on Amazon Prime and Tubi, what has the reaction been like?
It's been great. I mean, we're still trying to push it out to people, but I think it's always really interesting to see what people's reaction to a film are going to be, because there's a
Yeah,
lot that you put into the film and that you intend. But then again, as storytellers, like, we want to be sure to leave room for subjectivity and leave room for people to project their own experiences onto the film, and then learn something through that. And so it's always fascinating when people come and say, oh, this moment in the film meant this to me,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh, I never even thought of it that way. I never would have put that together. But you know it's not just me making the film, obviously. David's pouring his experiences into it. Each person on the crew and cast is pouring their own life experience into it. So maybe they're picking up on something from someone else, or maybe we've just left enough room for subjectivity for them to project their experiences on it and find what they need to find. And so that's been really fun, just to talk with people. I talked to a young man who, you know, was still struggling with drug addiction, and uh, related to Jason a lot, and related to his struggles and the reasons he went to it, and just talking with him and trying to stay in contact with him, to see how
Yeah.
he's doing, and um, hearing that it encouraged him in some ways. The not everything's perfect. There's consequences to Jason's actions in
Yeah.
the end. The film
You got
doesn't wrap
it.
up in a tight bow, but there is the idea that you can make it back. You can make it back to your family. There is forgiveness. There is hope. There is redemption. There will be consequences as well. But um, I think that just encouraged a lot of people. So being able to share that with people and talk to people, and yeah, has just meant a lot.
Yeah, because what I took from it too was not only your character learned something, but the grandfather did too.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and
multi-generational.
yeah, a huge theme of the film is about generational trauma and how things are passed down to each other, and Jason and Griff are dealing with a lot of the same things in the film,
Yeah,
a lot of the same feelings of guilt and isolation, and they yeah they to see the way they make their way back to each other, and developing that relationship with Rick McVeigh, who played Griff,
yeah,
was was really special, and I think our real life relationship maybe translated, on screen in some ways,
yeah,
um, and yeah, uh, yeah, he just does incredible, and there's consequences to Griff's actions too. I mean, just talking about that,
yeah,
he's isolated himself for however many years, and he's never going to get that time back. And the things that he should have said and should have done that
yeah,
went unspoken and undone can't be reversed. And so there is the loss of that. There are consequences, but and he's not totally reconnected with everyone at the end. And that there's something very bittersweet about that ending that I was just about to spoil, but I guess I won't say for anyone who hasn't watched it. But there's something very bittersweet about it.
yeah. There is, there
Yeah.
is. So what's next for you?
Yeah, so we are working on a like I said, a World War II story right now. That's a very big production. That a lot of things are going to have to come together for that to be our next project.
Yeah.
But we are also working on a smaller project right now that we could do ourselves, and
All right.
still in the writing process for that one, so I can't say too much. But it is it it's a romance. Romance is involved
Mm,
in this film, and
okay.
so it's a little bit of a different turn for us.
So is there anything that you would like the viewers to know about you that they may not know?
um I don't know. I'm kind of an open book.
Yeah.
If you want to ask me anything, reach out. No, I don't know. I would just say that for me, I have found it really difficult a lot of times, creatively. I don't know if you have a lot of creatives who listen to this, but I found it really difficult to share my work with people. And um, I can be a really insecure artist. I mean, I think if you're a
Yeah.
good artist, you'll be insecure at some
You
point,
criticize yourself.
and about your work.
Yeah.
And I would just, say that I relate to that, and I implore you and encourage you to share your work with people and just get started. I mean, filmmaking. We started our first film on a tiny film that was a $9,000 budget, which
Yeah.
sounds like a lot, but as David says, that's you know
I know it
not
is.
most people's candy budget on most films. So like it's a very crafty budget. You know, it's not much. The reason that that film took off and went to 13 out of its 14 film festivals that we submitted it for, and got picked up for distribution, and went all around the world. The reason that that all happened wasn't because of our fancy production quality. It wasn't because of our really cool innovative special effects or anything like that. There are some production errors in that film, that but
Yeah,
but people saw that it was just a real story that we cared about, and that we had something true and personal to say, and you'd be surprised what audiences will look past when they're really invested in the people in front of them. And so it all starts in the script. So if you want to do filmmaking, or even acting, or writing or directing, just start. Like,
yeah,
you can't wait for people to come to you. You just have to put together what you have around you. Look at what you have around you. Look at your own past experiences and what you can relate to and what you can speak on as a person. No one has the perspective on life that you do. You
yeah.
are a unique person. And so, if you have something to say, share it. And uh and look around you of what you can use. I mean, maybe don't write your first film to be a spaceship sci-fi film if you don't have the budget for that, but maybe look around you what you do have, and ask around. You'd be surprised. A lot of our locations have just been, hey, can we use your restaurant? Oh yeah, I'm closed on Monday, come on in. Hey, can we, we went, and for our first film, Cross Purposes, we just went to we needed a hospital, and $9,000, we can't create a hospital. And so we go and ask our local hospital, and they're like, oh yeah, we have a wing shut down, and you can just come in here and film, we don't care. And it was
Uh,
like, okay. And so, like, if you ask around, you'd be surprised about what you can find,
okay,
and how people get
you're
excited
the
about
first,
it.
yeah, you're the first person that actually has said that you could get seen sometimes just by asking.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
you 100% can. You'd be so surprised about what people will offer up
yeah,
if you just ask. I mean, you never know if you don't ask. And so just get started with what you have around you and what people and creatives you have around you. I mean, we live in a small area in Abingdon, Virginia, and there's so many creative and crew people in our backyard that
yeah.
you just be so surprised. And so just reach out and start, and believe in what you're making. And if you have the right passion for it, you can't help but make a good film. And so, learn the craft, look people up. I always have interviews of filmmakers that I adore going on in my head. I'm always looking up uh uh film analysis videos and things like that. Like, it's all out there if you go research and do it. So I just encourage people to just start whatever you have in your head. Just start making it a reality, and get people around you and start asking, and you'd be surprised what can happen.
Okay. So if someone wanted to get in contact with you for
Mhm.
gigs or writing or anything else, how could they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like on Facebook and Instagram, just
Yeah,
Joseph Stam, and I'm on IMDb as well. But yeah, and then we have our film accounts. We have Cross Purposes Productions, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. And
yeah,
we have our website, crosspurposes.productions, that
yeah.
you can also go and see all of our films. There's links to all of our films there, and where you can find, Elephant, that's on Amazon Prime and Apple TV and things like that. But um, yeah, me personally, if anyone wants to reach out and just get some encouragement, of about what they're doing, or it's just always helpful to stay connected to creative people, and to encourage each other and the work that we're doing. Because I know if I stew in my own creativity and not without sharing it with anyone, I nothing ever comes of it. And I'll hole up like Jason and Griff has on his ranch for the last 20 years, and
Yeah, the last
not
two.
let share anything. And so, Yeah, we don't want that. So yeah, absolutely. No, if anyone wants to
Oh,
reach out, I can at least offer encouragement. And then we put out audition things and crew postings for
yeah.
when we're starting a new production. So yeah, definitely stay in contact with us.
All right. So thanks for the interview and going in depth about the film.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, I encourage people to go watch it because I checked it out myself and it's a good film.
Thank you.